Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 20 of the DC United Kingdom podcast. I'm your host, James Graham. Yes, I am freehand today. There's no microphone out because it's not strong enough for this microphone, as you do. Alongside me on that side, you'll see Claudia Pagán. I've got to give her a little intro, as I said to her just before we went live. So she is becoming a bit of a legend in her own right, interviewing some of our most prestigious players, to working alongside It's in the Net legend himself, Dave Johnson. Welcome to the show, Claudia. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be on here. We were talking right before going live, man. I'm so excited to be here, to be joining you, to be talking DC United, soccer, whatever the heck we're going to talk about. Love the intro, by the way.
Well, you've been, we've seen you on the social media for quite a bit now. Tell us a bit about how long you've been working for the club then.
So I officially joined January of 2019, but I had so I'm from the area. I'm right outside of DC in Maryland. So okay. I've always been a DC United fan. I used to go to games. My dad would take me to games growing up. So Jaime Moreno, I've said this 1,000 times. I don't keep saying it. That is my all-time favorite player. Loved seeing him while I was growing up play. So eventually being a fan, I got into sports growing up and all of that. I played soccer growing up. So I was like, okay, I kind of want to work in sports. So DC United was the first club to give me that chance. So in 2016, I had no experience doing anything behind the camera, nothing with sports except for playing it. Wow. So I got an internship with DC United summer of 2016, doing video stuff here and there. Like I said, they took a chance on me, even though I just barely knew how to work a camera. And that just led into still staying on for game days and helping out on filming game days, the 2017 season and the 2018 season. Yep. So 2 more years after, and then they probably just thought, this girl isn't going anywhere. Let's give her a job because she's just sticking around, which I'm so happy for. Honestly, I stuck around just because I loved it. I love game days are the best, right?
Yes.
So I was just there just because I wanted to be there. All right, this girl's not going anywhere, so let's hire her. So things became official in 2019.
Nice. So obviously you've been to RFK and now Audi Field. What was that change like back in what would have been 2018 now?
Yes. Yeah, from the 2017 to the 2018 season. It was different. They both have their things, right? It's RFK is the one that you'll always remember, the one you'll love. It's got the history. It's where I won't say grew up in a way, but I grew up going there. And those, I never got to be a part of it, which I'm very upset about, but the bouncing seats at RFK where the fan section is, I always wanted to be a part of it, but I was very young at this point. So I was on the other side of the field, just watching them. And I'm oh, I would love to be part of that someday. So there's just so many memories when you look at RFK. But then, Audi Field, it's new, it's home. I actually really love the structure of Audi Field because there's not really a bad seat anywhere.
Yeah. And
I like the way that it's built just because everyone just feels super close and it gets loud when there's a lot of fans in there. So the change was different. It was coming to a new home and it was super special for me to be a part of that transition season, the final year RFK, and the new Audi Field.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never got to go to RFK. My first visit was straight to Audi Field, and I have to agree there is no bad seat in that house at all, because I've sat at 2 different ends.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's nice, right? You've got the Heineken bar if you want to get that view. I've had friends that have gone there. They loved it. But just anywhere. And, when we're doing interviews as well, we try to find new locations. And it's you just you can go to the suites, or you can go down on the field, or you can do them in the stands. There really isn't a bad seat. And that's why I really love it.
Yeah. And the one annoying thing about me not going to Audi Field, I've yet to see a score. So I've yet to experience the beer shower yet. The 2 games that I've been.
No.
Yeah.
next year, I'm hoping this is all over soon. I'm hoping that you guys can travel over here. Would love to have you for a game here. Get some goals in the back of the net, right?
Exactly. I need to have that actual feeling of Dave Johnson in my head just saying it's in the net when I'm actually at the stadium, because that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And the supporter section, which is where I was last time, is just, it's a fantastic experience. The volume, the crowd, it's just, there's nothing like it going to a football ground and being a part of the atmosphere.
Yeah, there's beers flying everywhere. I got to be a fan for a day last year. So I was in the fan section, and when we scored, man, I came out of there with like beer all over me and sticky. I wore the wrong outfit for that. I'm like gross, I'm drenched in beer, drenched in sweat, but just loving every second of it. I've still got the footage on my phone, and I like go back, and it's like it was such a good moment. You've got like people pressed against you. When you think about it now, it's like, ooh, Corona. But eventually we'll get back to those moments where you just love being squished against everyone cheering. And I was able to film our game versus Miami this year. And with the new standing seats, I was like across the field. So I had a really nice wide shot of the entire fan section. And oh my gosh, I really wish I had been in there, because just absolutely incredible. You got the drums going, you got people cheering, all of that. So it's like a really great environment there.
And then when Fred Brion nets that winner,
that was it. That's the shot that I got. I got that shot. Fred was just like running across the fans. I'm like panning over. You see all the fans going wild. That was a great moment.
That was something special. That was, I mean, how the heck, for a central defender, how did he finish like that? Because that was something.
And then in the Orlando, he had another goal. I'm like, okay, we're gonna start seeing some goals from you. I like it.
Yeah, why not? We take goals from anywhere on the field. Speaking of Orlando, that was a nice little side transition into that. It's been a weird year. I think that's probably the understatement of the century.
Yeah.
What was it like to go down to Orlando, spend the time there, obviously in isolation, teams are separated? What was that like compared to being at Audi Field and traveling around as normal?
So a lot of times the easiest way for me to compare it is it just kind of felt like another preseason, because when we go down to preseason, you know, you're together with the team, you're doing everything. You eat breakfast together, lunch together, dinner together, you go to training, and then you've got some stuff in between. So you see everyone 24/7. At the end of it, you're like, all right, get away from me. I've seen you for too long. I'm tired of you. Because you're together for so long. So it just felt like preseason, but like double that, just because it was a much longer time. But I actually really enjoyed those trips. Of course, it was under like bad circumstances because of Corona and all of that.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy those moments because you're able to be around, like you are really embedded with the team. They see you from sun up to sundown.
Yeah. And
it's just a great way to build relationships with them. So that's where I'm always able to build the best relationships with players, is when I'm just around them 24/7. But it was great. So it was, you got all the teams in there. So you see players from different teams. And for me, I was able to see a lot of staff members that I know from other teams and able to connect from a distance with people from other teams. So that was really great. It was just like like a little mini like reunion or conference, like where you go to once a year and you see all your friends. So I absolutely loved it. I felt super safe, because you were testing all the time and nobody's going in or out. It's a bubble. So it was really nice. We had our down moments. Guys were playing ping pong, FIFA, enjoying their time down there. So it was great.
So, excuse me, about to cough there. So you obviously been there remotely, and then you'll have had the likes of Dave and Devon commentating from afar.
Yeah.
You've worked with them for a little bit now.
Yes.
How different was that as well? Obviously, apart from being you're just down on the sideline compared to being the thousands of miles away.
Yeah, it's different because you're not I can't just go upstairs, go talk to Dave in like a break or like at halftime or something, whatever it is. So we would all communicate through messaging, through text. So it was a
Yeah.
little bit different. But in another sense, I guess it's kind of like modern TV at this point, where you've got like the analysts and everyone in the studio, and then you've got the reporters on the sidelines like miles away. So it kind of gave me like that little taste of what that's like when when you're with coworkers and with anchors and stuff that are just in a different location. But we
Yeah.
were able to make it work. But we were just communicating all the time, figuring out what the storylines were going to be, and all of that stuff.
No, that's quite cool. I've just seen a couple of messages coming in on the chat. We've got someone from Cincinnati tuning in. Hello there.
Love it. Love it.
And my wife has tuned in as well. So, hi, Liz. Hello. So you've again gone on about Dave and Devon. You've worked with them for a little while now.
Yeah.
What have you learned from them?
A lot. So I'm only 25 years old. I'm pretty young. I'm very new into my broadcasting career. So they have been the people that have really shown me the ropes. I did reporting before coming here, but this is where I've been getting my real taste of television experience and all of that stuff. So learned a lot. Obviously, you've got Dave, who played for DC United, a former player. He comes with that perspective of a player. So you're able to get that perspective, and I can ask and figure out, what kind of questions and stuff can I get from players? Like, what would you like to be hearing about as a former player? And then with Dave, of course, it's Dave. He's been around forever. Yeah. He knows his stuff, and he's actually been one of the best throughout this entire journey, my entire journey. I actually got a text from him like 2 or 3 home games ago, and it was like after our broadcast, and I forget the message, but it was like, you're doing like, I've been wanting to tell you this for a while. You are doing like so well, keep going, and all this kind of stuff. And that, like, my heart, I was like, thank you so much. Because sometimes I'll be hard on myself. And I told him, I was like, thank you so much. Sometimes I really like second guess myself sometimes. And if I make mistakes on camera, of course, I take it pretty hard. And he's like, no, like, keep going, like all this kind of stuff. I wish I could remember the exact message, but it was just like a random message that came out of nowhere. So on top of like helping me figure out what my storylines are going to be for the broadcast, which he does every single game, he's also just like encouraging me, which is like the most important thing to me.
He is just such an awesome guy. I know when I had him on the show last year, and so easy to talk to. He's got so many stories, and he's got the time for you, and just because of that, you've got all the time in the world for him as well. And I absolutely adore him. And I just remember, like, there's one time when Rooney scores the goal from our own half against Orlando, because he loves to score an absolute wonder goal against Orlando. It was just one of those things. And I remember being in a restaurant, and hopefully my wife will back me up on this if she's still watching. And I just would turn around, and I just hear Dave Johnson just shouting, "It's in the net!" And I'm just like, "Oh my, what?" I can hear Dave in the UK. This is just, but from somebody else, and that was just such a lovely thing to hear.
Amazing.
And obviously, tell him about it, and he's just loving life as well. So, I've got all the time in the world for Dave.
I know, an incredible person. He always, every time we have our production meetings before our broadcast, he always brings up some new story about something. I'm like, Dave, what are you going on about? Always a new story about like everyone and anyone and any topics. It's great. You could talk to him about anything.
Yeah, honestly, Dave, if you end up watching this, hi, and thank you for everything you do. So I'm gonna do some of the questions now that I would normally ask the players. But but I ask you, since you work for DC United, we're going to keep the theme going. So, as you've already said, you've been at DC United technically from 2016, but officially from 2019. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, in that time, what has made the club so special to you?
To me, it's been the players. With my job, I have like I get the awesome opportunity that not many people do, which is you get to see the players outside of the pitch. You get to see what they're like. You see what they're like around their teammates, around family members, wives, girlfriends, their children, and whoever it is. I honestly think it's been the players. They I have no idea what to say because like my head's like 1,000 different things. Like I have really nothing but good things to say about the players that like I get to work with, and that's what's made my job, and that's what made me want to work with DC United. Like that's what makes it so incredible. And especially at the point where I'm at now, like I've been with these players for a good amount of time. I've been able to build relationships with them. We're at that point where we can, kind of trust each other with information, and we'll have conversations just off the record, just to see how they're doing, how they feel about the season, or just conversations about anything else that's not soccer related, about their families and all of that stuff. And it's just like, it's easygoing conversation. They take the time for you, you take the time for them, like as you said. And let me just talk about the homegrowns real quick because they are something else. They are so special. Like I cannot say enough good things about our 3 youngest homegrowns. Like also Donovan Pines, who I actually got to work with while I was at the University of Maryland, and he was playing there. Yes. So there's a little history there. So I've known Donovan for a while. But like those, I'm going to actually say all those 4. A lot of the players do, but like those 4 especially, like if they are walking in one direction, they will come back, go a different direction just to say hi to me, just to bump fists. How are you? Have a conversation. Like they will literally go out of their way to talk to you. So it's just like the players here at this club, I absolutely love them.
That's amazing. Right. So here's a good one for you. If you could pick a squad number, what would it be, and why would you choose that number?
Like if I was a player?
Yeah.
This really has no special meaning, but 26. It's got no special meaning. So it's got a special meaning, but not really. So in school, they assigned everybody numbers. I guess just to make it easier, they gave everybody numbers in alphabetical order. And since I'm Pagán, I was always one of the last ones. So my number was 26, which is weird because I've got this weird thing where I hate even numbers. This is the first time I think I'm like saying it out loud. It sounds weird, right? So like volume in my car, it has, and they're like air conditioning, because my air conditioning goes by like numbers.
Yeah.
Those numbers have to be odd. It's such a weird thing.
It's usually the other way around.
I know. It's odd. It's odd that I like that. So 26 is just like really weird for me because it's obviously even. But yeah, I really hate even numbers. I don't know where it came from. We've all got that like one weird thing about us that you don't usually share, and I just spit it out loud to everyone.
That's thrown me. That's really thrown me.
I don't know how to digest that.
Wow. Okay. More even numbers then, because we're going to go down that road.
There we go.
If you could pick any 6 players to have in a 6-a-side team, who would that be?
Oof. This is a hard question. All right.
So who's in goal?
Bill.
Of course. I mean, who else would you have?
We got Bill in goal.
If you and see, for me, when I play 6-a-side, because that's my connection with football, we usually play 2 defenders, 1 midfielder who goes up and down, and then 2 strikers.
Okay.
And I know some players that I've interviewed with this question have gone some different formations, but I
hope they don't see this, because I hope no one gets offended if I don't pick that. So
Wait,
guys, if you're watching, please skip over this part. Let's see. Okay. So I've got Bill in the back.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to the midfield real quick. I've got to have Felipe in there. He's such a consistent player.
Yeah. And he likes a good tackle as well. He's brave.
Loves a good we did an interview back during quarantine with him, Uli, and Junior.
Yeah.
And we were talking about tackles, and Uli said, was it Uli? He said something. What did he say? He said the player and the ball are not going to get past Felipe. Like one of them is going to get cut off. So if the ball gets past Felipe, he's coming after you and chopping at your legs. That's what it was. And I just love that quote. Felipe goes, I mean, are we not here to play? I loved that interview. So I got to have Felipe in my squad. Let's talk about forwards. So I have to put Kevin in there. Kevin has been just such a burst of energy, just 90 minutes the entire time, like going.
Yep.
I'm like going all the way around. Oof, this is a hard question. In the back, I really liked Chris Adui-Achem in the back lately.
Yeah.
I've been liking him a lot.
He's got a lot of pace as well, so get forward quite quickly.
So I would have I'm going like everywhere. So I've got Kevin, Chris, Felipe, Bill. I'm missing two more. I would do. This is hard. I'm gonna wrap it up in 10 seconds. I would put. I'll put Donovan Pines in the back with Chris.
Yep.
I've got Felipe. I've got Kevin, and alongside Kevin, why not? I'm gonna put Griffin Yao.
Yes.
I'm gonna put Griffin Yao up there. I think that's a pretty good looking squad right there.
Yeah. It's very. You've got good experience there with Bill and Felipe.
Yeah.
You've got a good mixture of youth up the top and at the back as well. So you've got the pace. You've got the size of Donovan. I mean, he's short compared to me, but we'll gloss over that. And then you've got the pace of Kevin up top and Griffin, who just is all over the place. So I like that. So we had some more comments coming in over on the chat here. Just one of my mates, Stu, who wants to get over to DC at some point when all this is all over. So do it. You won't regret it because it's such a beautiful city, especially early April.
Yes.
With the cherry blossom coming out, because that's the time of the year that we came out last year, and stunning, absolutely stunning.
Great weather. I agree. April's the time to come.
It wasn't too hot and it wasn't too cold.
That's what you want.
Yeah,
and from kind of human. And
from a northerner, it can always be too hot, but it can never be too cold. We've also had Kim Kolb just saying deep stuff about your even number freer. Yeah. Honestly, it's a strange one, but we'll.
Weird. It's listen, but we all got weird stuff. We just don't usually vocalize it. So I'm sure you've got some stuff. I'm sure everybody watching has that one thing that's just like questionable.
Because I know my other half, she's doesn't like odd numbers. She only likes even numbers. I hope I've got that right. If she's still watching, and I don't mind odd numbers. I don't mind them. I can get bored with odd numbers because the squad number I tend to go with is number 99.
Why?
And this is a weird one. So back in the day, when I used to play old Championship Manager on the computer, I used to use Barcelona because obviously they're one of the best teams, and their goalkeeper Vitor Bayer used to be number 99.
Interesting.
And I play in goal.
I like it.
So every shirt that I've ever bought, which has had my name and the number on the back, it's always been number 99.
I love that.
So,
I was looking up some stuff on Jaime Moreno because I was going to do an interview with him, and I found an old interview. Where, because when he came back to DC United, he took the number 99.
Yeah.
And he said that a bunch of people made fun of him, and they're like, 99, not quite 100. You're almost there, but not 100. Like, not the most perfect. I was like, ooh, okay.
Ouch. Oh, and now that's the connection for me and DC United is Jaime Moreno.
Is it?
Because he used to play for the team in the UK that I support. So
Oh,
that is how I got introduced to DC United. Granted, I didn't start following properly until about 2003, 2004 when Freddie Adu came along.
okay.
But there you go. That was my first insight into Major League Soccer was Jaime Moreno.
I was very interested how someone, from the UK, how
Yeah,
DC United fan, how that came about. So I love that.
yeah. It's an odd one, and oh, I love staying up late for the games as well. And it's
How do you feel it? How late are you up until?
oh so, right, okay. So
Uh,
normally the games when they're a 7 p.m. kickoff
uh-huh.
of your way, they are a midnight kickoff for me. So I'll end up going to bed at about 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. So when they get later than that, that's when I start really suffering with the lack of sleep. Um, and then there was the game in Orlando when we were playing.
10:30 p.m. kickoff. How early were I was just about to ask that.
So I went to bed at 8 o'clock or half 8 that
Yeah.
night. So I still got my normal amount of sleep in. Got up at about half 2 in the morning, and then I was up for the rest of the day. Yeah, that's
That's
how stupid I
dedication.
am.
That's dedication, man. We got home from Nashville at 3:30 a.m. 3:30 a.m. and I'm like exhausted, but you're up here. Oh my gosh, every
Yeah,
single I don't know how you do it.
I don't know either. But I know there's a couple of games coming up in this last stretch which are at normal times.
Yeah.
Well, I say normal times. It's about, I think there's one which is half 8 and one at 9 p.m. for me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
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 much better for
that's
you.
beautiful.
We had you in mind when scheduling that.
uh, Again, more comments coming in on the chat. Love this. Ariana Fugaso is just getting
That's
people
my
just to go.
cousin.
Is it? Ah!
Yeah, what is she saying?
Her first comment was saying, "Come see the cherry blossoms. Best to go early in the morning."
Huh.
Is that?
Okay.
Oh, I
She's a
wonder
pro
what.
with that. She's been in this area for a while. Hi, cousin.
Okay, cool. I wonder what the difference is between morning and afternoon then.
I personally have no
Ah.
clue.
And then she just comments about fair weather and following seasons or seas. Sorry, there you go. Um, and then my mate's saying, "Yep, absolutely, he's going to come over in April time." So there we go.
Love it. Love
Hopefully
it.
you'll get to go to a game, get to go and see Audi Field because it is absolutely stunning stadium. I love the fact that you can walk all the way around as well. There's no issues with that.
Yeah.
It seems it's just absolutely awesome. And then Stu's also favourite number is number 14 because it was Andre Konchatskas' number at Manchester United when he was a kid.
I love hearing
No.
everyone's backstories to their favorite numbers.
Yeah. Oh, she said, Ariana says hello. And it's less crowds early in the morning, which kind of makes sense, to be
That does
honest.
make
Yeah.
sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Right. So back to some classic questions, getting to know DCU ones. So here we go. What can I ask? What can I ask?
Oh, goodness.
Here we go. So outside of the soccer world,
Mhm.
what's your go-to meal to cook?
It's
If you
funny.
cook, that is.
I was about to say, it's funny you think I cook.
I know. I'm literally assuming everyone cooks on this program.
The most I will do is like throw some of those Tostinos pizza rolls on the little tin thing, fire up the oven, put it in there 12 minutes, like I'm good. I'm so bad. I can make some spaghetti. I'll put a little pesto
Okay.
on there. You know what? Actually, let me give myself a little bit more credit.
Okay.
I did there was 1 week where I meal prepped. I made pasta and then I would put pesto on it and I made enough salmon to last me a couple days.
Okay.
But as I said, that only lasted a week and it backfired on me. And that was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I haven't had salmon since because I like salmoned myself out
Oh
because a
dear.
post-game meal that week for one of those away games that we had, whenever it was salmon. Oof. So everything kind of backfired on me. So
Yes.
PB&Js are like my go-to for lunch. So I just can't cook. I can't cook.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. So considering you don't cook, then, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Tacos.
Tacos. Okay.
Tacos. I freaking love tacos, man. Tacos. Yes, tacos a big meal,
Yep.
but like I could eat rice for the rest of my life and be good. Like, do you guys have Chipotle over there? Have you had Chipotle?
Yes. I love Chipotle.
Okay. Love Chipotle. I could just have a bowl of their rice with nothing else on it and be content. I love.
Oh, do you mean the restaurant or just the actual Chipotle sauce?
The restaurant.
Oh no, we don't have that.
You don't have
No.
Oh my gosh. So they have bomb rice. So tacos or rice, I could eat for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
We've just had a question in from Donald Wine. He also says hello. He asks, what's the best taco in DC for you?
Ooh, best taco. Oh, guys, the best taco in DC United. A little guy named Wayne Rooney. That tackle, how do you feel? I mean, how can we not talk about that? I feel like sometimes I might like exhaust that game and that situation, but like that was an incredible game. I mean, the
that
man
was just something else.
ran from all the way over here. I can't watch it enough times.
Every time I do watch that clip, I get literal goosebumps on my arms, just all over. It's just, I mean, firstly, what the heck was David Ousted doing up there?
I'm pretty sure
I
asked Wayne about that too. He goes, I have no idea what our goalie was doing all the way up there. Like he even said it himself. I'm like, don't look at me. You know more than I do. I don't know why.
It was just what are you doing? We've got a point. And then that happens. You're like, okay, maybe there was a secret ploy to make them think we're going to get the winner here.
Exactly. Oh.
Yeah, false sense of security. Right. So I'm going to do some quick fire questions. So it's either this or that. You only got a few seconds to think about it, so don't think too much. It should be fairly simple. First one, Ronaldo or Messi?
Pass. Is that allowed?
Doing great so far. Second question then. Would you rather beat the Red Bulls or win the MLS Cup?
MLS Cup.
Oh.
MLS Cup.
Yeah?
Because we gonna beat the Red Bulls like even more times. So let's take that MLS Cup win.
Yeah. And it's when I asked Julian Gressel this question, he said MLS Cup beating Red Bulls in the Eastern Conference Final.
Oh, he found that loophole.
He did. I like that. I love that answer. That was a great answer, considering he'd only been here for a short time and he already knows the best way to our hearts.
Right.
Loved it. Okay, so I've been using the F word quite a lot already on the show. I normally use the S word, but do you call it soccer or football?
I call it soccer when I'm speaking English, but football when I'm speaking to the Latino players.
Okay.
I try to speak their language because I know that's what they call it. So, yep.
Fair. Kim just says the cup needs to come on. Yes, it does. I mean, it's probably not going to be this season, unfortunately, but yes, it needs to come back. Here's another one in terms of footballing terms or soccer terms. Mm-hmm. Do you call it shutout or a clean sheet?
Clean sheet.
Yes.
Clean sheet.
I don't know why I hear commentators saying shutout. Where's that come from?
I don't know. I hear it every now and then, but I hear clean sheet a lot more. And I'm pretty sure that's what we use on social, and that's what I've always used.
Yeah. So you work with them both, but who do you prefer, Dave or Devon?
Oh, can I have my pass for this one and answer the other question?
Okay. I'll allow it.
Okay.
Okay, so Ronaldo or Messi? Which one is it to be?
Messi.
Yeah.
Messi.
Fair. Right. That's it for the quick fire questions. You've
You got me sweating there.
You managed to only get away with only one pass. Nobody's ever passed before, but you've managed to only get away with one pass. We're going to go on to some squad questions now, so locker room stuff.
Okay.
So, first one being, who's got the worst taste in music?
Oh.
And obviously this is very opinionated, so there's no actual worst music, but for you, who's got the worst?
Oh, that's difficult. Okay. This is a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
This is a bit of a stretch, and by no means do I think it's like horrible music. It's just not my type of music. So, Paul was working, but it's not Paul's music, 100%. Like Paul was part of the group that was working out with like some trainers the other day, and they were blaring some rock music. And rock is just not my type of music. So I would say that, because like it's not, when they were working out, he was like going through like all the walls, and I'm like, I could not get hyped to this. So it just wasn't my music at all. But a lot of players have good music. Although let me say this. So Paul was working out with the trainers and they were listening to rock. But like 20 minutes before that, I have no clue who was in the gym. Akon. But like slow Akon, old Akon music. I'm like, who is listening to this right now? Like it was great and it was like a big throwback for me, but it was like slow Akon music. And I'm like, this really doesn't get me hyped. Like, I just want to chill. Like I was singing along, but to like get pumped and do weights, I'm like, this isn't working. So I have no clue who that was.
Oh my. That's amazing. A slow Akon in the gym.
It didn't make any sense.
No, that really doesn't. So, who's the funniest in the dressing room?
There's so many. Everyone's got like their own humor. Like Felipe will just make funny comments, like not off of someone, but like someone will say something, he might make a funny comment from it. The three young homegrowns like all have their own type of humor. I talk a lot to like Kevin, and Kevin's just like always making me laugh. A couple weeks ago, he whacked himself. I hope he's not watching this right now. He got so into a ping pong game that he whacked himself in the head, and he had Kevin, I hope you're not watching this. He had a big like bump on his head, and we had to do a photo shoot later that day. And he comes out and he's like, guys, I can't do the photo shoot. I'm like, what do you mean you can't do the photo shoot? This has been scheduled for a while. You're going to do it. And he's like, can you guys Photoshop it out? I was like, that's a question for a photographer hobby, but just do it. You gotta do this. It wasn't that bad, but like if he turned to the side, you could see a little bump forming on his head. It was so funny.
Oh, I hope that hasn't been photoshopped out, because I'm going to scrutinize those photos if I ever see them and see if there's a bump.
I've got footage of it. Hopefully will be released soon. But in the pictures you couldn't really see it, so he was fine. But like Fred is a guy who's also like Felipe, who will like make funny comments based off what you're saying. It's just like in the moment funny. So there's lots of little jokes. There's Paul, we did an interview that just went out today, but it was in the broadcast on Sunday.
Yes, and I did see that.
So I was going over some of the questions beforehand. I'm like, we're going to talk about this, and this. And every time I said something, he make like a sarcastic comment. I'm like, if you talk to me like this in the interview, I'm cutting it out. So he's a really funny guy. So there's a lot of characters.
I suppose he's had to have a bit of a sense of humor with the year he's had as well, with the ACL injury and what's going on. Bless him.
He's been taking it great behind the scenes from what I see. He's got an amazing attitude, and I've been in there while he's been training. He's got his Blink 182. Like he's one of those like
Blink 182. Like, okay.
Old music. He's got like Blink 182, the Green Day. He's running on the treadmill to Stacy's mom. So he's got a pretty good. I'm recording the whole thing, and I'm like, how does this pump you up?
Stacy's mom is a great tune.
It is a jam. It is a jam. So he's just singing like as he's running. I'm like, this is not my type of music, but you do you go right ahead. So he's always like, anytime I see him, which is all the time at Audi Field, he's there all the time working hard. just like huge smile, always joking, always cracking jokes. So he's a great guy.
Nice. So, from being the funniest, now this has always been a great answer so far on the show so far. Who has the worst fashion sense? Please say the player I'm hoping.
Oh, I don't know. Are you thinking of Felipe's answer? I'm pretty sure. Yes. Eric Sorga. I saw that. I saw Felipe reposted it on his Insta too. I'm like, damn, you calling out. Like, I think he even tagged Eric Sorga when he posted it and like called him out. I was like, oh, you're really gonna do him dirty like that.
Honestly, when I asked him that, he was straight off the bat. There was no pausing. It was just Eric Sorga. I was like, oh, absolutely brilliant.
It's not horrible. It's just different. It's just different.
Loud. I think it's probably the word I would use. Loud and unique.
Yeah, it's just different. I think it might be more like of a European and like a different taste. So I don't think it's bad. Like he's had some outfits where I'm like, all right, like that's a fire fit. Like you're looking good. It's good. But it's just not always my type of style. But this isn't a bad out. These aren't bad outfits at all. But like, have you been seeing like Ulises Segura coming in? Like this man comes in like looking like we in Miami or something with the open shirt flying. It was like our first game back at Audi this year after the Orlando, and his shirt's like flying open. I'm like,
I saw that and I was just like, what are you wearing? What are you not wearing?
I was so caught off guard. I was like, Renisi. It wasn't a bad fit at all. Like it was. I was just like, this is not the location for it. But like, It was a great fit too. So that's probably like one of my favorite part of game days is like I'll just be off to the side looking to see like what everyone picked out to wear for today. To walk, just like the fit is literally just to walk from where they park across the field and into the locker room. So it's like 3 of us will see it, but it's great.
I love Kim Kolb's just commented saying Eric is Eastern Europe and he's not hiding it.
He's definitely not hiding it.
He's not. No, not. I mean, there was one photo that I saw. I think it was on his Instagram where he was wearing this black and gold outfit, and it was literally black and gold from the hat to the shoes.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
I don't remember seeing that. It's just a different taste. Very European. Very European.
Yeah, we can't slam him too much for it. He's young as well.
Yeah, I like
young
him.
and naive.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I've not heard much from him in terms of any social media stuff or anything. I see obviously a few photos and things, but he seems like it comes across as a bit of a quiet guy.
He's quiet. I haven't had too many conversations with him. He's like reserved. He does his own thing. Really nice guy though. After he scored that goal at the Red Bull Stadium, like I was around when he was doing his like press conference, and we're just like chatting with him a little bit before and after. Like very, very great person, but just very, very quiet.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So, speaking of quiet, maybe is he one of the most focused in the dressing room, or is there somebody else who is more focused than he is? Like, I know Bill Hamid's been mentioned, Felipe's been mentioned as being one of the most focused and most serious guys in the dressing room, but who would you put it down to?
Focused, like on game days, or in what sense do you mean?
Game days, I would say.
Focused, like locked in. Definitely Bill. Definitely Felipe. Steven Birnbaum, Fred Briant. Those are the guys that are like the most locked in and the most vocal, for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, those are the most vocal people. I would say those 4 are like the most locked in, for sure.
Fair. And you said about vocal, you can always hear Bill on the field at the moment when there's no crowds around. Sometimes you don't even need Dave to do the commentating because you just get it from Bill.
There was one game where it was like the game right before Bill came back. He was sitting on the bench And I
Is this
just
the Red Bull comment, is it?
that Red Bull. So it was that same game. I loved that. I actually didn't know that had happened. I didn't know it had happened until someone like had texted me, was like, Bill just said this on the broadcast. I was like, we got to clip that out. But like that entire game, I usually will have like Dave and Devin in my ear. While I'm sitting on the bench. And I kind of like ripped out the earpiece just so I could fully listen to Bill behind me, because like he was just like talking to the players, but also super vocal on the bench. Like, let's go. If people were coming or subbing out or subbing in, he was like encouraging them, saying like very positive things. He was like kind of commentating during the game. And it was like it was really cool to hear, what he was thinking during the game.
I'll tell you what, I would love to see him as a coach. I think he, on the field, his attributes that he's got for that side of things, I think are really top notch, and I think he would be a really good coach. He's
really good with kids. He's very good with kids. So I would love to see that.
He's got that goalkeeping school, hasn't he? Yeah, because I've seen that again over on Instagram quite a bit.
Yeah, that's where I've seen it too.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That is the last kind of question I've got. Is there anything you want to get to know about me or anything like that? Or is there any? I will throw this out to the viewers as well. If you've got any questions for Claudia, hit them up in the chat right now. We'll go through them if you've got anything.
While we're waiting, let's see. I learned your history about why you're a DC United fan. Yeah. What's been your favorite moment as a DC United fan?
Oh, there's quite a few.
Yeah, now put you in the hot seat. You put me in the hot seat the entire time. Now it's your turn.
So, from a personal point of view, I want to say the first time I went to Audi Field.
When was that?
Because that was August 29th, 2018. I know the date because it was my dad's birthday, and I snuck away from Florida to come to DC and watch a game. we were on this big family holiday. There was my mum, my dad, my sister, my wife, my sister's husband, and their kids. So there's 9 of us out there in Florida. And before we go, and I'm just like, I've got to see if there's any fixtures, see if we're at home. And looked at it, and I was like, we're at home. Looked at the date, and I was like, okay, that's my dad's birthday. However, I did ask permission. He did say yes. Good. And then, just to kind of make it a bit more Hollywood about this whole day, so we ended up staying out in DC for about 3 or 4 days, before and after the game, and staying in Florida. We were on this gated community, and we need to get a taxi from the community to the airport so we can obviously fly to DC. This gated community, the security guard didn't allow our taxi to come and pick us up. And the gate from the place that we were staying was 2.5 miles away. So because we couldn't get the taxi to come to us, we had to go to the taxi. So at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, me and my wife are carrying luggage 2.5 miles to get to to get to the gate, and then eventually our Uber disappeared because he wasn't going to wait around. So another one automatically came. Thankfully, we found out the security guard was actually drunk, so a complaint was put in about that. Don't drink at work. That's the message right there. Ended up getting to the airport with about an hour and a half to spare before the gates shut. Get through security. Get on the little monorail thing, and I'm sprinting as soon as I get off the monorail to the gate, and it's literally seconds spare before the gate's shut, and they're like, shout my name. I'm like, yep, my wife's coming. Should be here in a second. And they're like, yeah, you're literally 10 seconds away from missing your flight. And that was scary, to say the least. That was knackering as well, to be that early in the morning. But yeah, we got there, spent a few days. I think it was in Arlington. I think it was. Absolutely lovely, great cafes, things like that. And then get to DC for that first game. Went to Screaming Eagles, tailgate beforehand, which was awesome. met some great people there, and then got to the game, sat down, and it was a bit warm that game. I think it was,
August. That's hot.
yeah, that was a hot one. I think it was at the end of the game, like 35 degrees Celsius. So I'm trying to work out that as in Fahrenheit.
No idea what the conversion is.
I'm using my phone as my webcam. If anyone knows what that conversion is, it's just hot. Let's put it that way. Other than that,
95 degrees Fahrenheit. Woo! You
yeah,
that game.
that was a full time as well, and that was just.
Was it a day game or night game?
No, that was a night game.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the heat wave.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was a lot of beer drunk that night.
Yeah.
Probably the wrong thing to drink, but you know, I had to
but it's
quench my
refreshing. Why not?
Yeah, quench your thirst somehow. Other than that, because that was one heck of an experience.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be the 2004 season, just as a whole.
Yeah.
Because that was seeing Freddie Adu, and I know it was back when I was in college, and it was difficult to find clips and highlights of the games, but I worked hard to get it, and it was being able to see Freddie Adu playing, and actually being able to see the games, and actually being able to watch a lot of the highlights. That's what sticks in my memory.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's kind of my top experiences with DC United so far. I just need to experience a win now.
Yeah.
Person,
We need to get here to have a win in Audi Field. Is Jaime Moreno your favorite DC United player, or do you have another one?
Bill.
Bill,
being a keeper and him being a keeper, it just has to be. Granted, Jaime Moreno because of the connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bill, he's the. If I could interview one player on the show,
Bill.
It's Bill, because I think I would fanboy like hell. I think my tongue would become really bad, like hi Bill, and I'd lose myself, I think.
No, I think you'd be totally fine. I think once you get past the initial shock of like, I've got Bill here, I think you'd be totally fine. He could help carry the conversation.
Yeah. I think he would be awesome. What was it like to back to another question to you? What was it like to interview Wayne Rooney?
Honestly, this sounds a little. Let me see how I say this. So the initial, when I realized that I was going to interview Wayne, like for the first time, and just actually like any of the couple times that I interviewed him, at first it's like, this is really cool. I'm interviewing Wayne Rooney. Like, obviously you're going to have that reaction. Like, it's Wayne freaking Rooney.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible. But so like, that's the first like thing that I think about. And then I'm like, all right, I've been seeing this man at practice, at training. Like, he's very low key. He's quiet.
Yeah.
Keeps himself, but like has his like group of like friends, he had his close group at DC United. So like, because I know how he is as a person, it then kind of took away that initial shock. It's like, yeah, this is Wayne Rooney, but it's Wayne Rooney. Like, he's just a chill guy, just like anybody else on the team. So like, the initial shock will go away after a while, and then it's like, all right, I'm just interviewing like another person.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been a top moment for me if I was ever able to interview him. But you know, there was a long list of suitors waiting before me to get an interview with him. Let's put it that way. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to ask you. Here we go. What have you made of the season so far?
It's been a tough season. I mean, it's like there's so many moving parts to it, right? Like, Corona, COVID season. So it's like, it feels like this feels like the longest season ever. Yeah. It feels like it's been such a long year, and we're about to hit October, but it's like, it feels like it's been 3 different seasons. And then you factor in all the injuries. And at first I was a little worried. I'm like, what's going on? Like, why do we have so many injuries? But then I look across the league, and I like have a friend on a different team and was asking like, hey, like, how is it over at your team? He's like, hey, like, we're kind of experiencing some similar things where players are getting injured and all this stuff. So like, and then you see it across sports as well. Like our football here, the NFL, like players are having ACL injuries and maybe like minor injuries and stuff. So it's just like, it's this season and the way that sports have been as a whole that's just kind of thrown everything off, where there's like a lot of games very close and back to back. So like that's hard to begin with. Like I can't imagine doing that. And then you factor in the travel. Like as we talked about, Nashville getting in at 3:30 a.m.
Yes, I did see you tweet about that because I was like, three. You just go. I was like, I'm getting ready for work here.
I'm like, I'm just going to bed. So it's like, and even when we get back from these away trips at like a decent time, like midnight or something, it takes me like a day or two to recover because the days are so long. And I'm like, I can't imagine having to play a whole game and then have to like come in and practice, and you've got more stuff going on throughout the week, and you've got a game in what, 3-4 days. So it's just like the season as a whole is just insane. And we have some injuries, and it's very sad to see. So I think right now DC United is just trying to figure out how to keep moving forward and get positive results with the team that we have. It's you can't have things overnight. Like I can understand the frustration that people have, and the players themselves. Like you can see they're frustrated. I can see they're frustrated, and obviously they're frustrated. And but I also see the behind the scenes. I see them at training. I see how the guys are in the locker room before the games, after the games. It hurts them too, and they're trying. Like I see them interacting with each other. They're talking about how they can get better. So the stuff behind the scenes, it's still pretty positive, and they're talking amongst each other, and they haven't, they're still trying to keep pushing forward and to keep going with this season. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that like fans and just the general public don't see behind the scenes of DC United and just any of the teams that might be struggling.
Yeah, it has been frustrating, especially from a fan point of view, and I see it a lot over on Twitter, especially, and over on Reddit as well. The amount of frustration there is, and the fact that we're not able to get that one particular win. I mean, for me, it wouldn't be a case of how we played. I wouldn't care if we only had one shot on goal, as long as we got that win, and just to build that confidence back up. Yeah. The one thing I have liked recently, though, in the last 3 games, I know we've not won any of them, but we've been playing 4-4-2.
Yeah, you like that?
It's a classic British formation.
Yeah.
I know when I tweeted out back when we first did it against Toronto, I know Sam responded with a Mike Bassett England manager gif, and I was just, yes, 4-4-2. It's gone missing in this world of tiki-taka.
Yeah.
It's gone. And I was like, we need to bring 4-4-2 back. So I'm glad Ben's been playing it.
Yeah.
The players that we've currently got seem to fit that formation as well. So I think it's a tricky, because we've got both Jordi Reyna and Helman Rivas.
Yes.
And Ola Kamara and Eric Sorga. Yeah. It feels like it's been a while since we've had 4 forwards.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do we fit? I mean, we struggled just to get 1 forward up top. Now we've got 4.
That's what I was trying to figure out, is how they would fit together. I haven't been at training lately.
Okay.
since like Hellman and Reina have arrived.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen how it's been at training. I know behind the scenes, like all these players like get along, and especially because a lot of their connections through like national teams or just whatever. But I'm interested to see how we start using these new attacking pieces that
Yeah.
we've gotten.
No, absolutely. Stu has popped up with a little question. He asks, what's your favourite moments you've been a part of with DC, whether it's been as a fan or in your role?
Low-key was hoping people wouldn't ask me this or because it's so hard. I love the question, but it's so hard. So of course I get thrown back at me when I was trying to put you in the hot seat.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm glad he asked.
Okay, so I've got two moments, and just two moments because let me say them and then I'll kind of explain. So there's been a lot of like incredible moments, and I actually think that if I think more about it, the majority of my favorite moments would be behind the scenes stuff and not necessarily like in-game stuff.
Okay.
So two of my favorite moments have been one last year when we signed Ola Kamara. We wanted to do something a little bit different, and we wanted to do something really DC related. So we did this whole like photo shoot and first sit down interview on a metro.
Yes.
So we went to the metro right next to RFK. We hopped on a little bus rail, I forgot what they're, or train cart. Got in, we did our interview going one way. And then once we finished the interview and went down a couple stops, we got off, came on the train that was coming back the other way where we had just come from. And in like those 4 or 5 stops, that's when we did the photo shoot. And we got very lucky and had like a pretty empty like train. Actually, I think we like kind of worked it out. We went like all the way to the back. So that was just like, it was just weird. It was wild. I was like, this is so cool. Like we're on the metro right now. I'm doing an interview and we're like this as a train's going back and forth. I'm like trying not to get dizzy as we're talking, and we're sitting right next to each other. So I'm trying not to like bump into him. And this is like my first time meeting him. But he had a really great, like he has a really good personality, but like especially then it like came out super quick, which I absolutely loved. And then my second one is another just random interview spot, which was when we got Edison Flores. We did it in a Peruvian chicken spot. So we wanted to make that, and that's we did a photo shoot for him, and that's how we got all the stuff to announce that we had signed him. And we just wanted to make it like, we wanted to really cater it to the Peruvians, especially because it's such a big population in the DMV area. So those two are just some of my favorite moments, just because it's such wild situations.
So, going forward then into the future, we've got Atlanta this weekend. How are we gonna do this weekend?
We'll see. Fingers crossed that we're able to come away with a win or a tie. What Ben said last game at half was he saw more personality in that game versus New England than he had in Nashville. So in Nashville was a bit of like, Nashville, I'm not sure what happened. And I know that the players and coach weren't happy at all with how they played. So he liked that they had more personality. And it's like, I mean, I can't necessarily speak on like the starting lineup and what players were gonna, what players are gonna be on the bench and come in and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, I think DC United's still kind of finding that, like that starting 11 that's going to stick. So, you've seen, and then of course we're signing new players. We've gotten 2 new players in just the past couple of weeks. So seeing how they fit. So that's like still a work in progress. But like I've been seeing good things during training. We've been seeing good moments in these games, a lot better than from where we started in August, I think is when the game started. So we're getting there. So I think it's going to be a little bit better. It's going to be better than Nashville. And, I think the results are kicking them in the behind a little bit, getting them more motivated. So I've been seeing good stuff in training.
So I think there's no better time to be playing Atlanta United right now because they're out of form. I looked at it. I think they're annoyingly similar form to us. I think they've only had one win since the MLS's back tournament.
Yeah.
And they're there for the taking.
Yeah.
And they've had bad results again, especially against the likes of Nashville. They got beat by Inter Miami recently. They're not doing great. So
a weird year.
It's been strange. It's been very strange. I mean, FC Cincinnati are doing okay. That's weird.
Yeah, I know.
Orlando City, what the heck? Get into a tournament final.
Right. It's just been such a weird year. Like I don't even know.
Nah. In one side of my mind, I'm thinking we can just write this year off because it's been so blooming weird that you can't really look into it too much.
Yeah.
On the other side of me thinks, from a fan point of view, that it's, even though it's been a weird year, everyone's been in the same boat kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we should be doing a bit better. I mean, it's not been a great year.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a way I want to put it, to be honest. So, but Atlanta are there for the taking. We can do this. We can beat them.
I think we've got this. I think we saw some like really good opportunities from like Hellman when he first his first
volley
started from Yordi. Like I thought, I forget when it happened. I think it might have been the first half. But he had like a really good shot on goal. So it's like we're getting there. We're getting those shots. Yeah. So fingers crossed that we're able to.
It's getting better. We're getting used to the 4-4-2. So Ben, if you're watching, stick with it, because 4-4-2 is the way forward. We need to bring this thing back. Yeah. Classic 4-4. Exploit the wings, because we've got great wingers.
Yeah.
Hopefully Kevin's back. I think we've missed him a little bit.
Yeah.
Up there on the left. Gressel's doing well. Griffin's doing well. I think I've seen a few comments about Gressel. People thinking he's not doing so great, but you look at him. You look at the set pieces, you look at the crosses he puts in. They're fantastic.
He's got some beautiful crosses. Like when I watch that training as well, I'm like, that's a beauty. Like he's got his crosses.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up. Because we've gone on for over an hour.
Woo! And here I was like, I don't even know if I can last 30 minutes. I don't know how this is gonna be. You're so great to talk to.
It's been fantastic. This is what I love. I mean, granted, we're not in the same room. We're not even in the same country, but great conversations. That's what I love about doing this show. Speaking to you guys over there in the States, but as we were speaking before, I need to do a live show out there at Audi Field. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. If it's not Audi Field, somewhere nearby. I think the guys out there would love it.
Yeah, it'd be great.
We just need to get the flights sorted out and less COVID.
Yeah, let's solve the COVID first, and then things will fall into place.
Exactly. Right. Before we wrap up, I do need to put a little clip in, just because I've got a sponsor for the show, so we need to do a sponsor message. So before we wrap things up, let's just hear from the sponsors.
Thanks, James. Yes, my name's Henry from the MLS UK show, and on our latest episode, it's called Shocking Results. We mean shocking results by the fact that San Jose has beaten LAFC, and Vancouver have actually won a game. Not shocking results as DC mean it, as some really, really bad results. Also, on the latest episode, I do my guide to Kansas City. Now, in the next few weeks, we'll be doing Henry's guide to DC, so I need your help with it. If you have any facts about DC that we should know, that we should pass out to our audience in the space of a minute's long piece that is done towards some cowboy music or Western music or whatever we want to call it, then get in touch. It's hello@mls.show. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast through your podcast provider and on YouTube as well, and you can see what we say about DC in the next few weeks. Back to you, James.
Well, thank you, Henry, for that. As always, go and check them out. And there's a big thing. So when you do listen to the MLS UK show, you'll, as you just heard there, they do Henry's Guide to different parts of the States. Coming up is DC. So if you do have any fun facts about DC, the stranger the better, hit them up at hello@mls.show. So send them an email. Let's get some weird facts about DC because, why not? Thank you, Claudia, for coming on today's show. It's been an absolute blast, an absolute honour. And like I said at the beginning, you are a legend in the making. If people want to come and follow you, if they're not already, how can they follow you?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram, Twitter, at Claudia M. Pagán. You guys can find me. I try to interact with everyone. So yeah, you can find me on social. I'm trying to be active. I'm not as active as this one over here, but I'm trying to be active on social.
Well, I try and fit it into my busy life because, with the kids and work and this 5-hour time difference, the evenings are not too bad to me because he goes to bed at roughly usually about 8 p.m. and then sneak a few tweets in there, late night games. Job's done. How's that? If you've followed me, or you don't follow me on Twitter, it's at DC United Kingdom. You can check out the website, which is dcunitedkingdom.com. There's merch and everything that you can get through there as well. So feel free to hit that up because that helps the show out no end. Because it helps fund things like this. So I sound a little bit better because why not? There's all the social links on there, so I'm not going to go through them all right now. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And until next time, Vamos United.